Hi there. This is a training video to show you how you can accomplish artifact synchronization between Jama and Jira using Integration Hub. I'd first like to start off showing you how this operates. So I'm going to start here in Jama, and I'm going to create a few artifacts, okay? One of which is going to be an epic. Okay? So I'm just going to add a new epic into Jama here. And I'm going to call this epic Mobile Capability. Okay. We'll give it a short description here. The application should support mobile interface. Okay, we'll set an initial priority for this particular epic, which will be of a high priority. Okay, and we will go ahead and save and close this new epic. Okay, we are also going to create a new user story, okay, that's associated with that particular epic. So let's go ahead and add ourselves a new user story. I'm going to say, as an admin, I want the ability to check for updates on my mobile device. Okay. We'll put in a description here. Updates such as new users. Okay. We'll also set a priority for this particular user story, which we'll put in a high priority. Okay. I've now got a new epic and a new user story in Jama. So as I navigate my way to Jira and do a refresh, taking a look at my project in Jira, I now have my mobile capability epic has been synchronized over from Jama, and I also have my new user story as well. As an admin, I want the ability to check for updates on my mobile device. So here I'm showing you synchronization of epics and user stories as they're created and defined by our product managers in Jama, synchronized by Integration Hub to Jira. Okay. One thing I'd like to accomplish here is I'm going to open up my particular epic, my mobile capability, in Jira. Okay, take a look at that, and we can see that the priority came through. Okay, just taking a look at that. Now what I'd like to show you is back in Jama, what I'll do is on my particular epic, which will be mobile capability, I'm going to add a relationship. And I'm going to add a relationship to the user story that I created. Okay. And that'll be a downstream relationship, and I'll go ahead and create that relationship. Okay. What's most interesting is back in Jira on my user story. Let me find my new user story. I now have the link preserved that was set up in Jama. Okay, so preserving relationships across tool is game-changing functionality. I've got that set up here. So here I have my user story and my epic in Jira, with that relationship preserved as it was defined in Jama. Okay, so as we begin to work on this user story and this that belongs and is related to this particular epic, the next thing I'd like to do is show you how we can also synchronize and relate defects or bugs. And the defects and bugs, we are going to be created we're going to be creating in Jira. Okay? So what I like to do is I'm going to go ahead and create myself a new bug, okay, in Jira. So in this project, I'm going to create a new bug. And I'm going to say mobile UI is not showing properly. Okay. And I'll put a description in here as well. Okay. UI goes off the screen. Okay. And I'll go ahead and create that particular bug. One thing I'd also like to do is go ahead and relate this bug to this particular user story. Okay? So if I go in edit mode for this particular user story, what I can do is I can come and I can find there's the Epic link, and I'm going to set up the link here. Which will be linked issues. Okay. And this particular issue that I've just created is actually blocking this particular user story. So we'll put that in as blocked by. Okay. We'll show the defect there. We'll do an update. Okay. And what I'd like to show you is those items synchronizing back to Jama. Do a refresh over here. And we'll take a look at that new defect that came across. Okay, mobile UI is not showing properly, so we've synchronized the defect as well from Jira to Jama for that visibility in Jama. Okay, so if I open up that particular defect, one thing I am passing over is the Jira URL, so to make it easy to click through to find that specific defect in Jira. Okay. And I've also got, from a relationships perspective, a relationship from the defect in Jira associated to the user story in Jira has now persisted across to show me this relationship here between the user story as a Tasktop Integration Hub, as an admin, to the particular defect as well that I'm now showing you here in Jama. Let's take a look at the setup for how we've accomplished this particular integration. So here we are in Integration Hub. And the first thing I'd like to talk about would be the repository connections. So in order for Tasktop to be performing the integration work between Jama and Jira, we have repository connections. So this establishes the connection between Tasktop Integration Hub and the particular systems we're looking to integrate artifacts across. So let's take a look at first. We've got the Jama connection to the Jama system. I just want to show you how this gets configured and set up. First thing you'll do is you'll type in a label, and then you'll type in the URL connection for that Jama instance. You'll also put in the username and password for the user account that you want to use for that connectivity. The one thing to keep in mind here is that the user account that you create and you use for connectivity needs to have access to or privileges to the projects that you would want included in your integration. Okay. There's also other settings here for if you're connecting through a proxy and other additional settings for queries and concurrency limits. Okay. I'll also show you the connection information for connecting to our Jira instance. Very much the same. Just give it a label, location for that Jira instance, authentication protocol, and then the username and password for the user account that you want to use as the user account in that system. Okay. So first thing we'll do is establish repository connections. Next thing we'll do is we're going to go to the models. Okay. What's a model? So a model in Tasktop is really just a list of fields that defines an artifact type in your organization. Okay? We saw earlier in the demo that we have integrated defects, epics, and user stories. So what I'm showing you here is the defect model, the epic model, and the user story model that is used as part of the integration. Okay. Let me quickly show you how to create a new model. We'll click on the new model button. We'll give our new model a name. I'm just going to say feature model. Okay. When we go to create a model, again, a model is really simply a list of fields that defines an artifact type. And the way that we can define those fields is, first of all, you'll see that we have a smart field drop-down list. So taking a look at this smart field drop-down list, we can see a variety of fields. And these are fields that we found common across artifacts in systems. Okay, so we're providing you a list of out-of-the-box smart fields to use. You want to use these whenever you have the opportunity, or you want to include that particular field in your model. Okay, so let's just say we're going to include summary. We choose summary. It gives us a label and a data type. Let's also include description. Let's include the creator, which we'll see is a person field. And now I just want to show you how you can create fields in your model that aren't part of your smart field list. Really, you just don't choose a smart field option and type in a label. Something like, how about target release? Okay. Which could be a string field, or it could also be a single select field. So how about we just switch this from string field to single select? And let's also add a field called release. Okay. So another field here called release. Okay. And release will be a, actually let's not add release. Let's add a different field. Let's add a field called points for story points. Okay. And points will be also be a single select field. Now, when we have fields on our model that are actually single select fields, we also input field values. So I'm going to click on the field values blue link, and I'm going to click on the plus sign. And for target release, I'm going to say we have version 1, we have version 1.1, and let's just say we have version 1.2 and version 2. And we also need to plug in values, field values for points. Okay? And let's just put in our point range. Let's say 1, 1, 3, okay, maybe 6, and one more value would be fine, say 10, okay, for story points. Okay, and I'm going to go ahead and do a save. And we now have a new model for integrating features defined in Tasktop. Okay. Let's quickly take a look at the models that we've created here as part of the integration that was shown earlier. Let's take a look at the epic model. Okay, in the epic model, we have name, which is string field, description is a string field, summaries is a string field, and a smart field as well. We got priority, which is a smart field of type single select. We clicked on field values, and we've plugged in the different values for priority for an epic. Okay. Let's look at the user story model. Here's our user story model. We have a few more fields to find in our model. Here we've got the name field, description, status, created, points, related epic, and priority. Okay. And we have field values defined for status and for priority. Let's now look at our defect model. Here's your defect model. you've got description, summary, status, priority, URL, and story link. Okay. Story link happens to be of type relationships. URL is string. We have single select for priority and field values, single select for status, and field values for status. Okay. We'll click Done. That's an overview of models in Integration Hub. Creating models in Integration Hub is straightforward, quite easy and fast. Okay. Again, a model defines the list of fields that define an artifact type in our organization. Okay. The model is the normalization entity. It's the universal translator, as I like to call it. Okay. So when we have different definitions of defects, different definitions of epics and user stories and features, etc., across different systems, that model is that universal translator that allows for these different definitions of artifacts and attributes to synchronize seamlessly across systems. Okay? What we're going to see in a moment is how Integration Hub allows for collection to model mapping for fields and single select field values. Let's take a look at our collections. What's a collection? A collection defines an artifact set from a repository that is eligible to flow in an integration. Okay? An artifact set from a repository that is eligible to flow as part of an integration. Okay? And what we can see here is we've got Jama defects. So we've got a set of Jama collections and a set of Jira collections. Okay? What's an integration in Tasktop? An integration is the flow of information between two or more collections. Okay, so once we have collections set up in Tasktop, we can then begin to integrate information between one collection and another collection. So we've integrated Jama defects with Jira defects, and Jama epics with Jira epics, and Jama user stories with Jama user stories. I'll show you the integration setup in a moment. But collections are one of our core building blocks of building integrations in Integration Hub. So let's take a look at a collection here. Let me actually show you how we create a new collection. So how we create a new collection is we click on the New Collection button. We choose Repository Collection. We give our new collection a name. Something like Jira Bugs. Okay. Create a connection to our Jira system. So we select the Jira repository connection. Then we choose the projects that we would want included in this particular integration, or in this particular collection. Okay? I'm going to add 2 projects to this collection. We proceed to choose the artifact type that we want to base this collection, which is going to be bug. And we also associate to a particular model. Let's say the defect model. I'm going to click Save. And then Map Fields. Okay? This is where we see the collection to model mapping. So taking a look here, it's really important to understand what we see on this particular screen. Okay? What we see on this screen is we see our collection, our Jira collection, our Jira bug collection. And if we click the drop down, we see all of the Jira bug fields. Okay? All the fields on a bug in Jira. On the right side, we see our defect model, the model we've associated with this particular collection. This is where the smart fields come into play. Okay? Tasktop will automatically map your smart fields between your collection and your model. And that's what you can see here at the bottom. Description to description, summary to summary, status to status, priority to priority, and URL to URL. Okay? Now, we'll do some additional configuration on our single select fields, like status and priority. Whenever you see an orange indicator in Integration Hub, That's an indicator that you'll need to go in and inspect and perhaps do some additional configuration. So let's take a look at the priority field value mapping. So I'm going to configure that, and here we can see again for priority the values that I plugged into my model, 1, 2, 3, 4. And then I can also see the values on priority on the Jira bug. So what I can do is I can easily map these up by clicking on, say, highest on the left and 1 in my model and connect. Click on high in my collection and 2 in my model and connect. Medium and 3. Low and lowest we will map to 4. Okay. And low becomes my default value that gets set. And I can change that if I wish to say lowest. Okay. Go ahead and save this priority field value mapping. And it's done. And we are now going to take a quick look at status. I'm going to drill into status, and I can see that status is mapped perfectly. So I just want to take an inspection and take a look there. Okay. That's how we create collections in Integration Hub. I've now got my Jira bug collection. It is a base component that is now eligible to flow as part of my integration. Okay. Let's go back and take a look at the collections. Let's start with, for example, our Jama epics. Okay. Here's my Jama epic collection that I've got integrated. Called it Jama epics. There's my connection to Jama. I've got one project in my Jama epic collection. This is based on the epic artifact type and associated with the epic model. We'll go in and take a look at the field mapping. Summary, description, and priority are mapped here. If we drill into priority, we can see that priority is mapped. That is our Jama epic collection. Let's look at our Jama user story collection. Jama user story is the name. Connection to the Jama system. We have one project. We have user story as the artifact type. Association to our user story model. Take a look at map fields. Looking at the field mapping, we have priority, name, description, status, and created in our model. And priority, name, description, status, and created date from our Jama user story artifact. This is our Jama user story collection. Let's continue exploring the setup of these other collections. Actually, one thing I forgot to show you, the Jama user story. Let's take a look. We've got a relationship set up. I'll show you how you can configure relationships in Integration Hub. Just below map fields, we're going to see a configure relationships option. Let's go and click on configure relationships. Here you can see I have a related to upstream related epic. Okay. So that's establishing the relationship between the user story and the epic. Let's take a look at our Jama defects collection. Jama defects is the name of this collection. Connection to the Jama system. This project is in scope for this collection. Artifact type is defect. Associated to the defect model. Take a look at the map fields. Status, URL, description, summary, and priority. Let's take a quick look at the URL because this one's a little bit unique. Okay. There it is, Jira URL. Okay. And status is mapped, priority is mapped, summary and description. Okay. Back to collections. Let's now explore our Jira collections, starting with Jira Epics. Jira Epics is my name, connection established to my Jira system. In this case, I've added 2 projects to this particular collection. Artifact type is Epic. Model association, Epic model. Map and fields. Okay. One unique thing we're doing here is we're setting a constant value. We're setting a constant value for Epic name. Okay. In Jira. Let me show you real quickly how to create a constant value. Let's just say we're going to find due date. Okay. Model, we can set that to a constant value. Okay. And let's just say that we'll choose a particular date. Okay. Just for example. Click set constant value. Now every time a new artifact is created in Epic by Tasktop, anytime a new epic is created in Jira, we're going to satisfy that due date field with a constant value, which is actually the date that we've selected. Okay. So pushing in a constant value. Let's take a look at those 2 other collections that we have in Integration Hub. Let's look at the user story. Jira user story collection. Jira user story collection, connection to the Jira system. 1 project in scope for this particular user story collection. Artifact type is going to be story in Jira. Model is your user story model. Let's take a look at the field mapping. Priority, name, description, status, and created. Okay. Let's take a look at priority. Okay. Again, you have your Jira user story priority values on the left that you will choose and map to the values in your model for priority, in your Jira user story model for priority. Let's also take a look at the relationship setup on the Jira user story. So click on Configure Relationships. We have Epic link mapped to related epic in our user story model. This is going to establish, again, the relationship between the story and the parent epic. So we create relationships on both collections. Let's lastly take a look at the Jira Defects collection. Jira Defects, connection to your Jira system. 1 project in scope. This is a collection for Jira bugs. Defect model, map and fields. Description, summary, priority, and URL. And let's lastly take a look at the relationship settings. Configure relationships. We're using the blocks attribute on a Jira bug and mapping that to story link in our model, in our defect model. Okay. So there again we have the 3 collections in Jama, the 3 collections in Jira, and we're going to set up an integration now to flow these artifacts between Jama and Jira. So in order to take a look at that, let's go to our Integrations tab. We'll go to List View, and here we have 3 integrations running. Here is my defect integration, my epic integration, and my story integration. Let's drill into our epic integration and take a look. Drilling into my epic integration, you have your integration styling components in the overview section. For example, artifact creation flow. Let's take a look. For this particular integration, we have one-way creation of new artifacts. Okay? New artifact creation, unidirection or bidirectional, is really easy to set up in Tasktop. All you have to do is set a style. So in this case, the active style here is one-way creation. Epics get created in Jama, and Integration Hub will synchronize or replicate those in Jira. Let's go back to our integration styling. And back into the epic integration. And take a look at some of these other integration styling components. We have field flow. Let's take a look at field flow. What field flow allows you to do is to implement special use cases where you want to have a little more control over how fields flow. So let's keep in mind that artifact creation flow is independent of field flow. So even if we have single direction epics from Jama to Jira, we can still have fields like description, summary, priority, etc. flowing bidirectionally. So if someone updates one of these fields in Jira, Integration Hub will synchronize and update that same value in Jama. Okay. One thing you can do, for example, if I click on priority, and I'd actually like to click on priority on the Jama side to give you a little more of an interesting use case. So I'm going to click on priority on the Jama side. Let's take a look at the values that we have. We have update normally, always update, update upon artifact creation, and no update. I'm going to set that to no update. So what that means is that Integration Hub will not update priority in Jama. So what this means is that I want priorities set in Jama by the user. So once the user creates the epic, I want them to set priority. But after that, we're not going to allow our users to set the priority of an epic in Jira and update that value in Jama. Okay? So that's what field flow can allow you to do. Artifact routing. Let's take a look at artifact routing. Artifact routing determines how new artifacts get created and what project that new artifact should be created in the target system. Here you can see I've got my Tasktop demo project in Jama. So new epics being created in the Tasktop demo project in Jama will either go to the Training 01 project in Jira or the Training 02 project in Jira. That can be dynamic. So taking a look at how we may configure that, we can set a condition that says, okay, let's base our condition on the priority field. If the epic is created in a high priority, let's route that and replicate that into our release backlog, Training 01 project. Anything other than a high priority epic will follow a default route to the Training 02 project, for example, our product backlog. Conditional artifact routing to certain projects in our target systems, okay, based on a field selection. Artifact filtering is interesting. Artifact filtering allows us to set up a filter that says, for example, only epics with a priority level equal to high will be a part of our integration. Okay? So give you further functionality, further control to restrict the artifacts that flow based on a field value, like priority. So only high priority epics will flow now from Jama to Jira. So setting up a filter to restrict which artifacts you actually want part of your integration. Comments. Synchronizing comments is a huge value of integrating systems. Very easy to do. All you have to do is check the box to flow comments. We can flow attachments. And we can also set a particular conflict resolution strategy. So on any kind of a conflicting data information scenario, you can declare which repository you want to be the dominant repository. Okay. So this is the integration styling for epics. We're flowing epics single direction from Jama to Jira. And that's how you configure the integration styling. That concludes this video training for synchronizing artifacts between Jama and Jira. We saw how we can synchronize epics and user stories from Jama to Jira. We synchronized defects or bugs from Jira back to Jama. And we also saw how we can create and preserve important contextual relationships across artifacts. So we had the relationship between our epic and user story in Jama. Synchronize that to Jira so we can get that context in Jira. We also saw where we associated the defect to the user story in Jira and then saw that same relationship replicated and preserved in Jama.